So I wanted to show everybody our new fish room setup. Things are slowly a work in progress, but we have the two 90 gallons that we've had since 2014. No longer Oscar tanks. We've got some rainbow fish in here, some platies, some mollies, a gourami, just a whole bunch of fun fish in there. Oh, and a bunch of corridors down on the bottom. I'm trying to capture their eggs and get babies, but it's been a slow process. This is no longer on an auto water change schedule since everybody died when we went away on a weekend. We don't really know why or what happened, but something, I think, came in the water and we just didn't know it. So I added some live plants in here. There's a lot of bubbles going because I have to kind of organize the bubblers over here, but at least these are seeded filter media that I can move over to other tanks. The live plants aren't doing too bad. We've had some die off, and there's some new leaves right here in the middle. I think that's an Anubias maybe? Not really sure. But there's a lot of duckweed. I'm trying to get lots of plants to help with the nitrates and help with, you know, natural filtration and stuff. Over here, we've turned this 90-gallon tank into the goldfish tank. We've got some Shabunkin goldfish and just some common comet goldfish. Creating the fish room means that I have nowhere to put my plants in the winter, so we converted them all to, I guess, submerged or half submerged, I don't know, but we took the dirt out of everything and put them on top there. We've got a little light on there, so we'll see. So far they seem to be doing okay. There's roots popping out through the bottom, so roots are growing. But that's pretty much the only live thing in the goldfish tank. Plant-wise, we got some fake plants, and I put some duckweed in there, you know, maybe once every couple weeks, and they'll eat that within 24 hours. So the goldfish are kind of happy and swimming around. They're growing like weeds. And then over here, we have an empty 10-gallon with some plants in it. I'm not really sure what's going to go in there right now. We've got another empty 10-gallon with some duckweed in it. We just got the matin filter in that one. And over here, we've got another 10-gallon with some platies in that. Looks like, I think they're going to pop soon. So hopefully they're going to have some babies. And I'll be able to move them back over into the big 90-gallon tank once they do and kind of raise up the fry in that tank. This tank did have the corridors in it, but they kept eating their eggs. So the corridors that were over the 90-gallon were not eating their eggs, so I think maybe there's a bigger space. So I'm just going to kind of keep collecting the eggs out of the 90. And I'm not really sure what to put in here. I have some cherry shrimp that are coming, so the cherry shrimp may go in that tank at the 20-gallon. And then we have this 10-gallon here that is scummy and is my snail breeding tank. Not really sure when we started that, but I did have a little molly fry in there, but we took all of them out and it's now become my snail breeding tank. So maybe I'll end up getting a puffer fish eventually if we get enough snails. Down in this little thing we have, I think it's methane blue, and then we have corridor eggs. The Corys in the 90-gallon laid a bunch of eggs on this leaf, so I just picked the leaf out and put it in here with the drop of methane blue and a bubbler. So hopefully they'll hatch out and we'll be able to, you know, grow them out. Maybe I'll grow them out in with the cherry shrimp once they're big enough and see how that goes. And then we have this tank right here. And I just realized I didn't clean any of the spots off any of these tanks. They probably would have helped a lot if I had done that. But we have, I believe they're mosaic guppies in here. And then I have some Necrocardinia shrimp that are down in the bottom. Oh, over here you can see them on the matin filter. They're little shrimpy guys. Shrimp are really entertaining. I did not think they were this entertaining. But I really like them. And then these mosaic guppies, or assorted mosaic guppies is how I bought them. They are Hurricane Irma survivors. I thought they were going to die in a post office down in Fort Lauderdale, but they somehow made it out before everything, or after everything had shut down, they somehow made it up. The Postal Service helped us out on that one. They were clearly labeled live fish, so I think someone just threw them on a truck and hoped for the best. A lot of guppy grass in here. Some other stuff, some Java moss, just trying to keep it heavily planted. There's a bunch of duckweed at the top. The Matten filter is working beautifully on this one. So everybody's just kind of happy as little clams. I just installed an auto feeder on the top of this tank, so hopefully everybody will get growing and we'll start making some babies. And then down here is another 20 gallon, and I just installed 2 auto feeders on that. On this side we have some Dalmatian mollies, and then some assorted sunrise guppies is what they were called. And I think they're really little still. They're not big at all, so they don't really have any colors yet. But they're definitely teeny tiny, and there's some shrimp on that side too. They're kind of all hidden right now. And then on the other side of this 20 gallon, we have, I believe it was blue mosaic guppies. They're pretty tiny too, so they're not really colored up. You know, I'm trying to get this heavily planted too. There's a lot of duckweed down there. They're big enough that they probably should maybe start coloring up, but I'm excited to start breeding the guppies. I got some really fancy looking ones that I liked. Oh, that guy right there in the middle is kind of blue. He's looking pretty good. So we've got the Matten filter on that, and then the bubbler, which is already seeded filter media, going for, we'll have that going for another couple months before I pull the bubbler out, just to make sure everything's cycling. And then we have this 55 gallon, I believe, that's now storage. Not really sure what we're going to put in that yet. Just kind of playing with the smaller tanks, doing, you know, weekly water changes. Everything's not too bad, nothing's overwhelming, which is great. Little 10 gallon tanks, the 20 gallon tanks. I redid all of the bubble lines on all of the 10 and 20 gallons today. And they're kind of going off of this one little bubble filter up here. So I have to redo, there's a second bubble, I guess a bubbler. Air bubble? Not really sure what to call these. But the second one over here is powering everything, all the bubbles filters to the 90 gallons. So they don't really need to be in there, so I have to redo that. I could probably cut them out at some point, or at least turn off half of them. So for the plumbing, everything has pipes down in it. I tried to hide the pipes behind the Matten filters on some of them. Others that don't have the Matten filters yet, I obviously can't. And then this one, the pipe ended up over on this side, and I didn't want to put the filter right there. So that guy still has a sponge attached to him. But underneath the 90 gallon, there is a bunch of lines. Look through the mess. So I have a valve for the one 90 gallon, a valve for the second 90 gallon, and then a valve for the tanks, all the rest of the tanks. And then over here, each tank has its own little valve, if you look up. So everyone has their own valve for me to open, and then I just plug a pump in, and it just sucks everything down within a second, minutes. It's a beefy pump. So that works out well. And then I just have a water filter that gets rid of the chloramines and the chlorine and stuff, and just a pocket hose hooked up to that. So I just turn a valve to turn that water on, and the hose fills, and off we go. So everything's been pretty easy to take care of. I think it's been well thought out. Hopefully we'll get some more Cory eggs, because I really want to kind of raise up those fry and see how that goes. But until then, I don't really know. Maybe we'll get a beta and put it in one of the 10 gallons. Not really sure what to do. Maybe some white cloud, maybe long fin white clouds. I don't know. Maybe some more live bearers. Haven't really figured it out yet. But right now, I'm still very excited about the guppies and the little baby Cory eggs. So figure I'll stay excited about them for a while, and then I'll move on to something else that's exciting. So I don't know when we're going to hook up the 55 gallon or what I'm even going to put into it, but the 55 gallon's a little overwhelming now. So it's just going to sit empty for a little while until I figure out what we should do. Yeah, that tank's slowly settling. I just did a water change, which is why it's all stirred up. I think the light's not the greatest over there, but yeah, so this is the fish room. It used to be a dining room, but when you're an adult, you get to make those decisions. and turn everything into a fish room, which is awesome. So I've got a lot more work left to do, but got some progress, and it's looking a little more organized and normal than it was. It's not as chaotic in here. So, alright, thanks for watching, everyone.